What's up, Rockstars? Today we have an unfortunate issue. There is another shipping crisis. That's right. There is a company asking for money a second time to deliver the same product. That, and they have an interesting way of gaining it too. So let's go ahead and discuss. But first, a huge shout out to my sponsor for today's video, GameWork Create. I've shown them off a few times. They are fantastic. If you didn't know, we are doing a partnership where I am offering, or they are offering, a $50 gift card to one of you guys. All you had to do was go down here to the very bottom and go ahead and subscribe to the newsletter. There were instructions on what you need to do on this video. Go ahead and do that down in the comments below. You know what you got to do. If not, maybe you should get a newsletter because we're talking about doing this again. But $50 off anything you want here, and they have some great stuff. I've never shown this, but if you just go to their in-stock thing, you can just see a list of everything that they are ready to ship out right now. They have some great ones too. Deep Rock Galactic is, I think, becoming a little bit of a cult favorite. I know several of my patrons have been enjoying that, so that's super cool to see. Also, I just recently reviewed Tenaris, and they have a Painted Madness box version of it on sale, so you guys can get that. Of course, they also have the Masters of the Universe stuff. They got a ton of stuff there. Feel free to check them out. Again, that is GameWork Create, and if you want something 3D printed, or if you want a board game, especially a Kickstarter one, this is the place to go. So check it out. Link down in the description below. Thank you so much to GameWork Create. That out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into it. Cthulhu Wars, the Demon of Sultan. This was one I actually covered, I believe, a long time ago. And now here we are. So what is going on? Okay, so I guess a little bit of a history lesson, just briefly. I keep saying Sanderson, that's an author. No, Sandy Petersen did a whole lot of Cthulhu stuff, especially once Cthulhu kind of became like free IP to use. And so definitely in on that, and did a whole lot of campaigns, a whole lot. Like if we open this, you're going to see they did 32. So they just did a whole bunch, spammed them, many a year, right, for quite a while. A ton of them. And they weren't delivering them before they launched the other one. So just like Mythic Games, once the COVID thing crashed and you know, the freight was ridiculous and all that, and the COVID lockdowns on China for the production and stuff like that, the logistics were a nightmare. It was bad, and anybody who was left standing with a whole bunch of campaigns, like Mythic Games, like Sandy Petersen, were just screwed. And that's exactly what they were. And that's exactly what they still are. They are still struggling to ship out anything at this point. They do have a small retail presence. They're definitely working on getting more distributors and offering expansions and all that stuff, and just getting influx of money. They're doing exactly what Mythic Games is doing. They set up their store to actually a web store to be able to sell stuff, and is trying to get money any way they can to deliver it, because they are determined on delivering it, just like Mythic Games. And just like Mythic Games, they're asking for money to help as well, doing all sorts of wacky craziness and generally having a very bad time online. So that's the history. What's going on now? Well, essentially, they have a whole bunch of product, about 90 or 90 plus, depending on what update you read, of pallets of product there in America, ready to ship to all of the American backers. It's literally there and ready to go. However, they can't afford to ship it out, so it's just sitting there. Which means, of course, they are paying for the storage of it, because the distribution partner won't just be like, yeah, sure, chill on my warehouse floor. That's exactly what I want. Nope. You got to store it, ideally in a cool, dry place, right? So yeah, they're having to pay for it while it sits there and rots too, which also kind of sucks. And the longer it sits there, I think it's in Tacoma, but anyway, the longer it sits there, though, the more worry I have about like mold and all sorts of other stuff. You don't want a whole bunch of board games just sitting there on a pallet. You really don't, especially because it's probably saran wrapped. You get some condensation on there. Not good stuff. So anyway, that's kind of where they're at now. The problem, well, okay, so let me just tell you what is what they're doing here, because it's wild, it's crazy. Okay, so no updates since we shipped product last week, but you'll definitely want to read the full update. Well, let's read the full update. Okay, here's the full update. Oh, and by the way, there's misprints, because, I mean, of course. After enough requests, we are opening the door to for people to voluntarily contribute to shipping costs. Totally understand this desire to have product in the States and not have access to it is frustrating to us as well. I imagine so. There are 87 pallets left with backer product, 90 minus the 3 already left. Now, there was a previous update that mentioned 96 pallets in the US. So I'm assuming they've shipped others or they miscounted. Who knows? These are full pallets, and Gamarati is actually willing to kind of do a partial and actually do per pallet, which is actually good on them, because it would be nice just to do it and finish it. So they're willing to get the pallet and go and do it or whatever. But it'll cost approximately $1,640 per pallet just for the second mile shipping on this. Okay, so the second mile shipping is after all the freight, which isn't shipping, by the way. The only time freight's ever considered shipping is on Kickstarter since COVID. Since they've done that, they started specifying, oh no, this is part of shipping. It was never shipping before that. But anyway, so you have freight, and then you have the second mile shipping, which is the shipping of it, where it goes, because it actually comes from the port to the warehouse, the distribution center, and then from the distribution center, it's then shipped out from there. Okay, so that cost $1,640 per pallet. Now, that means that however many people are on that pallet, it averages out to about $55 shipping support from each backer. Now, the reason it says average is because people buy different quantities of things. So some people buy a big spot of that pallet and a whole bunch of expansions and stuff. Some people buy a very little amount. And so the average is an average between the all-inners and the core boxers, right? It's not like you're paying for yours, especially if you were of the smaller thing. You have a very small part of that pallet, right? But either way, about 55 per. Regardless, they need the 1,640 to ship per pallet. 87 pallets left. Now, what they're saying here is that they are actually able to move about 6 pallets per month based off of current revenue. However, if revenue goes down, so do the amount of pallets. If revenue goes up, so do the amount of pallets that go out. That's kind of their thing. They're shipping it based off what they can. Again, this is very similar to Mythic Games stuff. There's still an issue, by the way. I'll mention it. Don't think I forgot. So this would be about like an 18-month delivery window. The problem is again, they're having to pay for like storage that whole time too. Like there's a cost to the product just sitting there. It's not free. It's not free. It's not free rent for the pallets, especially 90 of them or 87 or however many they say in the next update. Okay, so what they've done is essentially they've made a website. In fact, you can see it right here, where you essentially got an email saying, hey, your game is on pallet number 13. And so you can come in here and you can buy in orders of 10 little bits. There's 164 per. So in other words, nobody in pallet 2 is paid, nobody in pallet 3 is paid, nobody in pallet 4 or pallet 5 is paid. Several people have paid pallet 1 though. Once that goes down to 0, it goes out. So they're kind of divvying up to where this money goes here and this money goes there and stuff like that. Additionally, they will actually pick, like when it says 6, and this is what I don't know, right? So if they're saying, hey, they can send 6 out, and this is a problem. Anytime you do some convoluted junk, anytime you start mentioning numbers, people start doing math, people start trying to figure it out, and invariably, you're not going to get all the information here. For instance, is that 6 a full 6? Because if you're doing partials, essentially they'll target this one before this one. But that was less than the 1,600 now. So does that mean that they can now put 7 out? 8, 9, 10? Like how many is it 6 times 1,640 you can put out, and however many that is? I don't know. You'd have to ask them, I guess. And it seems they're only willing to talk to you in Discord. So, yeah, they'll have to go to their Discord for that. But let's go ahead and play a little game. Let's see who have paid, right? Like, so what's going on here? So obviously pallet 1, that's doing good. Otherwise, nobody on container 1 looks like. I don't know let's try and keep track of what the closest one is, or if any have funded. Okay, so just this one here. Not a good sign. 164 in all of these as well. Oh, there's a 152 and a 150. A 150, pallet 31. They did mention that one of the people have a offer to pay $1,000 to help get his. I will talk about that guy specifically in a little bit. 158, 159. 118, that's so far, I think, the lead, right? 118. Can we get something lower than 118, which is 1,000, right? Over 1,000 there, if you think about it, because again, it's by tens. 158 here, or 128. Still 118 is the best. 152. You know, there's definitely some people buying some. Now, again, somebody can buy multiple, right? You can keep it going up and buy more and more. It just depends. And I don't know, like, can I put 99 in there? I mean, I guess I can. Can I put 999 in there? Does it allow for more? It does. So don't do that, guys. Don't do that. Let's see. Just a few in there. I'm looking for something real low. I don't know if we're going to find it or not. But this is kind of the problem, right? Now it's all spread out. 99. There's one less than 1,000. It's almost 1,000. $990 left to go on that one. And that's the closest. So we'll see how quickly this goes, but that's it. That's what you got there. So anyway, that's kind of where they're at right now. It's a bit of a mess. It's definitely kind of a weird situation. Obviously, people are upset. One of the reasons they're upset is because of this one up here. So this is, again, back in like May 9th, right? But I want to kind of read something that somebody said because I thought it was great. And in fact, this is the guy that offered 1,000. This Doug Bailey. So Doug Bailey, you're an angel. The cash flow comments are most annoying. We provided the funds for shipping, and those funds should have been custodied. That sounds like a smart person word. And reserved for when those changes came due. Instead, what apparently happened is they used the money we gave them for shipping to pay for other things, and now they're having to just hope they make more money when they get paid for. So the issue I've been alluding to is that they already asked for more money for this shipping, for this product. So people have already paid a second time. So this is now a third time people need to. And this single-handedly ruins the offer here. If it was just, hey, this costs more, you guys all know it costs more, that'd be one thing. And then, hey, we need more to help ship. But if you ask for more to ship and you're still not able to ship it, then something went wrong. Either you messed up with your math, in which case that doesn't put a lot of trust in backers, I imagine, or you just lied about how much it was, or you didn't get enough, or I don't know. I don't know what happened there, but something happened. The problem is they don't ever address this. They just say, hey, we need money to do that. And I'm sure they do. I'm not saying they're just like, counting their like Benjamins while, leaving product there, making people upset. That's not what they're doing. They definitely need the money. The problem is we don't know where the money went the first time they asked, because this is not the first time they've asked for money. It's a mess. And why is it the American one that's the issue? Besides that, it's probably the largest. That's often the case. Is it's a single bill that's huge, and I'd rather pay all these little bills first, right? Because it's all broken down in the EU and Asia and Canada and Australia and New Zealand and stuff like that. So why those are shipping, the U.S. can't, God only knows. Maybe nobody in the U.S. offered them money the second time through, but I imagine they did. Considering even Doug over here is upset about it. So on the one part, I appreciate the updates. I appreciate the upfrontness of, hey, we need money. We don't have money. If we had the money, we'd pay for it. We'll pay for it as we can. Totally get it. And they didn't just say, hey, sorry, we can't deliver and leave either. They're definitely trying. The problem is they're also not doing a great job at it. And not really owning up to it either, when it comes to stuff like that. Like, what happened? Why is there hey, we know we asked for more money again, but, oh well. I mean, they've already paid for the shipping. I mean, they did the first time too. They always do the first time. That's always a thing. So, it's nasty. Obviously, if you want your game, go ahead and do it. And it sounds like eventually you'll get it, but it might be a while. This just helps you get there sooner. I will say, with how many are 164, even if somebody does one $10 one, that now puts you ahead of half of the pack, right? Because everybody that's at 164 will get picked last. I think it was a 163 in here. Where was that one? I thought I saw it. I was like, that's what you need. You need the 163. I can't find 163. This one. Pallet 38. Geniuses over here. They're going to get paid before all y'all over here in the 164. So, I'm sorry, guys. I really am. It sucks. I don't like covering this kind of stuff. But at the same time, I guess, regardless of fairness, regardless of whether or not it's right, or wrong. It is what it is. There are bad situations that can happen that is unfair to you that you still have to deal with. So you can wait 18 months and hopefully nothing else happens, right? Or you can pay the 10 and hope that this time it'll actually get to you. There are confirmation of people saying they did get theirs from the ones they were able to ship out. They said it was probably just the ones closest to the door they picked, so it's going to happen chance on there. Which is also kind of a bummer. I mean, I don't know. The problem is the shipping cost changes depending, and this is again, like the more you think about it, the more you realize how much information you don't have. So when you deliver to a hub, right, a distribution hub, they then zone out their shipping area. So like the US has these zones away from it. And the further away from it you are, the higher your zone number and the more expensive it is to ship to you, obviously, right? It's going to be an 18-wheeler a lot longer to get to California than to get to Texas or whatever, right? And so obviously some of those will go a lot cheaper. So maybe there's a possibility of just delivering to the people real close first and the cheapest in a zone 1 kind of thing versus a zone 5. I mean, but again, none of that's mentioned. It's just every pallet is apparently this amount. I don't know. I don't know. It sounds to me like they're just taking all the pallets, having a total number, dividing it by 90 and calling it good. But that's not exactly accurate either. So if you live close by, it'll be a little bit cheaper. That's not typically shown to us consumers. Typically it's US shipping is this, and it's just some default amount. But in all honesty, obviously it costs different to ship the farthest away from the hub than to ship to the closest to the hub, right? I mean, just, of course. So, I don't know, guys. Let me know your thoughts on this. At some point, you have to stop throwing money at something that isn't working. On the other hand, they're trying, and I think you will get your game if you pay for it, because some people already got their game and didn't even pay for it. Lucky them. And why it's only US? I don't know. Ask them, I guess. Anyway, that's all I had for today, guys. I will have an announcement in tomorrow's video, so stay tuned for that. And then more board gaming goodness coming up. I got another unboxing, got another review coming up, got all sorts of stuff in store for you guys. Really excited to share it. Some cool top 10s, all that stuff coming up. So subscribe if you haven't. Check out Game Create down in the description below. They are awesome. And with that, take care. Bye, guys.